أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين اجتنبوا الطاغوت أن يعبدوها وأنابوا إلى الله لهم البشرى فبشر عباد الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه أولئك الذين هداهم الله وأولئك هم أولو الألباب أفمن حق عليه كلمة العذاب أفأنت تنقذ من في النار صدق الله العظيم. These are ayats from Surah Az-Zomar, the ayah number 17 and 18, and the next ayats. In the ayah number 17, Allah Azza wa Jalla states that وَالَّذِينَ اجْتَنَبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ, and those who avoid الطاغوت, أن يعبدوها, who avoid الطاغوت by not worshipping, or avoid not worship at-taghut, to not worship at-taghut. The people whom Allah Azza wa Jalla talk about, they refrain from worshipping at-taghut. And the taghut, we talked about it at the previous lecture, and we said that whatever or whoever allege that he is a god beside Allah Azza wa Jalla, or whom the people alleged about that he is a god beside Allah Azza wa Jal, or maybe they do not allege him or name him as a god, but they may give him some special attributes of Allah Azza wa Jalla. If so, then it means that they worship at-taghut. We are, as servants of Allah Azza wa Jal, should submit ourselves to Allah Azza wa Jal and to worship Him alone, and avoid to not worship anything else beside Allah Azza wa Jal. And the commands of Allah Azza wa Jal should be the first things that we should obey, and we should not prefer any command of anyone else to command of Allah Azza wa Jal. The command of Allah Azza wa Jal, His orders to us should be at the first level. We should follow them, and we should not abandon them in order to follow any order of anyone else. So if we prefer any order of anyone to order of Allah Azza wa Jalla, then it means we worship at-taghut. It's the key, open the way to worshipping at-taghut, because Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one who gives us all the favors. Whatever favor, whatever grace we have, all of them is from Allah Azza wa Jalla. So we should not worship anyone other or lower than Allah Azza wa Jalla. If we do, it means that we open the way to worshipping at-taghut. وَالَّذِينَ اجْتَنَبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ أَنْ يَعْبُدُوهَا. And there's some narrations that the ayah revealed concerning Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail and Salman al-Farisi and Abu Dharr radiallahu anhum ajma'in. And we know these personalities, that they abandoned worshipping at-taghut in the time of Jahiliyyah, in the era of ignorance. Before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they left worshipping at-taghut, they left worshipping the idols, and they turned themselves to the only one creator. For example, Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail, it's talked that it's narrated that about him, that before the Prophet ﷺ, he was saying to his people, I worship the only one God. Please do not worship the idols. How to worship them? Allah Azza wa Jalla gives you all the favors. Why do worship, or why do sacrifice your life, or why do sacrifice your animals to some things other than Allah Azza wa Jalla? Although Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one who gives you whatever you need. So there is many people before the Prophet ﷺ who was worshipping the only one Creator, who was noticed the right way, or let me say that, who acknowledged the right way. Because we know that all the people, Allah Azza wa Jalla make them to notice the truth, but they do not acknowledge the truth. But there is some people who acknowledge the truth in every time, and even before the Prophet ﷺ. Some Mufassirin says that this ayah concerning them, but we think that it includes them and all the people who avoid worshipping at-Taghut. وَالَّذِينَ اجْتَنَبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ أَنْ يَعْبُدُوهَا. And it is very critical thing in our life to be away from at-Taghut. In our life we will live many situations that Allah Azza wa Jalla will bring us before Him and before the Taghut, worshipping at-Taghut and worshipping the only one, Allah Azza wa Jalla. If we prefer worshipping at-Taghut in order to earn some gain, or in order to gain, in order to keep our gain, it means that we are ready to worship at-Taghut. And the people before us, and the people in that time, when they were disbelieving the Prophet ﷺ, they were disbelieving for the same objects. They were disbelieving him in order to keep their life, in order to keep their gains in that life. So worshipping at-Taghut, Allah Azza wa Jalla will not bring it before us clearly, but He will accompany with it some our gains in order to test us whether we prefer, or whether we give importance to our gains, and in order to keep them, we will worship at-Taghut, or we will sacrifice them, and we will follow the truth, and we will put our trust to Allah Azza wa Jalla, and we will know that the only one Creator will not forsake us, and this is only a test from Allah Azza wa Jalla, and we will avoid at-Taghut by not worshipping it. This kind of test come to pass in every life, in every person's life, in every single person's life. Allah Azza wa Jalla put Himself and at-Taghut in their life, in our life, to test us. And in our situations, or in the situations, there may be many differences in the kind of at-Taghut. In some, maybe in your test, maybe he is your child, or in my test, maybe it is my wealth, or in maybe his test, it's something else. But the at-Taghut, it means that it's another way of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's something contradictory with the commands of Allah Azza wa Jal, and it's something else that wants us to prefer itself than to Allah Azza wa Jal, and to leave Allah Azza wa Jal at that point in order to follow Him and to take that gain. This is very simple, very simple test, but it's very commonly, it's very common between us, or between the human entity, because this is the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jalla. He is testing His servants to see how it's strong, the bond between them and between Allah Azza wa Jalla. وَالَّذِينَ اجْتَنَبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ أَنْ يَعْبُدُوهَا. In this ayah, Allah Azza wa Jalla talk about them. وَأَنَابُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. When you avoid at-taghut, it means that you turn your face, you turn yourself to Allah Azza wa Jalla. This is inaba. And the inaba means that you leave whatever else. You leave whatever else and you put your trust only to Allah Azza wa Jal. You expect whatever you need only from Him. And you refuge in Him, Allah Azza wa Jalla, from every kind of fear that you have. This is inaba. This is inaba, that Allah Azza wa Jalla is the only one that you have, and you do not have anyone else than Allah Azza wa Jalla. You know that everyone or everything you have or seems to you that you have, you will lose all of them. And when the death will come, you will lose all of them. All of them will abandon you, and you will go and you will face your Creator. If you live by considering this, and if you know this without forgetting it, it means that you are going to your Creator. This is inaba. You are living for your Creator. This is inaba. And if someone is munib to Allah Azza wa Jalla, he will not prefer anything or anyone to Allah Azza wa Jalla or to His commands. He will live only for His sake, the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. As it is in this ayah, Inna salati, say, my worships, salati wa nusuki, and my sacrifice, wa mahyaya, and my life completely, wa mamati, and even my death, to Allah Azza wa Jal, lillahi rabbil alameen, to the one who is the creator of all the universe, all the worlds. This is inaba. But if the inaba is something like submitting yourself, but if there is some exception, if you worshipping in some situation to a taghut, it means that you lose your inaba. From that time, you cannot name yourself as a munib, because munib means that you leave whatever else than Allah Azza wa Jalla, and you put your trust only to Him, and you worship only to Him. وَأَنَابُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Allah Azza wa Jalla in this ayah talk about them and giving them a glad tiding. لَهُمُ الْبُشْرَى. For them is a good news. لَهُمُ الْبُشْرَى. For them is a good news in this world and in the hereafter. Especially in the hereafter, because the important reward and the fulfillment of the reward is in the hereafter. Maybe Allah Azza wa Jalla will give you something in this world, but it's only for taste. But Allah Azza wa Jalla seriously or essentially will give you the reward, will give the reward to His servants in